What if that's only part of the truth? As we get older, especially past 60, our bodies react differently to certain foods. And the reality is, depending on the variety, preparation, or processing, some types of fish can quietly damage blood vessels, elevate blood pressure, and increase your risk of a stroke. This isn't just about fish. It's about the unexpected dangers that could be hiding right on your plate. I'm going to guide you through some fish choices you might want to reconsider, especially if you're focused on protecting your heart. Curious? Even slightly concerned? Or maybe you just want to ensure you're making smart food decisions. Stay with me. What you discover may really surprise you. Type white in the comments if you're still including fish in your weekly menu, or blue if you've already started cutting back. And be sure to subscribe to Health Hub for more reliable health tips every week. Let's begin with a fish that sounds fancy and heart smart, smoked salmon. It's flavorful, rich, and often praised as a nutritious option. But here's the problem: smoked salmon is incredibly high in sodium. Just 2 ounces can contain over 600 milligrams. For someone monitoring their blood pressure, that's already about 1/3 of the daily recommended limit gone in just a few bites. And why is that important? Because excess sodium is one of the leading contributors to hypertension. And high blood pressure is the #1 risk factor for strokes. It's not just a figure on a screen. It's silent tension building inside your arteries, placing continuous stress on your heart and blood vessels. One study from the American Heart Association revealed that even small reductions in sodium could lead to significant drops in stroke risk, especially in individuals over 60. That's not a theory. That's solid evidence built on decades of research. Yet when we grab a package of smoked salmon from the grocery store, we rarely give it much thought. Now imagine pairing it with cream cheese on a bagel or salty crackers. It adds up fast. That innocent breakfast could be potting unexpected. Strain on your cardiovascular system. So, what's a better alternative? If you're a fan of salmon, go for grilled or baked versions without heavy salting or smoking. Use herbs, lemon, or a touch of olive oil for flavor. You'll still benefit from those heart-healthy omega-3s without the sodium overload. Next on the list is pickled herring. This fish might bring back memories of holiday meals or family traditions. It's popular in many European dishes, but don't be fooled by nostalgia. Pickled herring is one of the saltiest fish you can eat. 2 ounces can contain more than 700 milligrams of sodium, again, nearly 1/3 of your daily limit in just a couple of bites. The pickling isn't just for taste, it's a method of preservation, and that means heavy salt. What makes it worse is that many older adults include these dishes in their daily routines, maybe in a sandwich or a cold salad. Over time, the salt adds up, blood pressure creeps higher, arteries become more strained, laying the groundwork for stroke. Research published in the Journal of Clinical Hypertension shows a clear connection. People who regularly eat pickled or heavily salted foods are significantly more likely to develop high blood pressure and cardiovascular problems. And this is especially true among older adults who've grown used to preserved foods. Here's a simple fix. If you enjoy herring, opt for the fresh kind. Lightly grilled or baked herring still provides heart-healthy fats without the salt overload. And if you do indulge in a pickled version from time to time, balance it out with low-sodium meals the rest of the day. Now let's talk about a fish that seems fine until it's fried. Fried mackerel, or really any kind of fried fish. It's crispy, golden, and comforting. Maybe it's something you've had at family dinners, diners, or cooked at home. But here's the reality: once fish is breaded and dropped into hot oil, it loses its heart-healthy status. Why? Because frying, especially deep frying, introduces trans fats and oxidized oils. These fats can harm the lining of your blood vessels. They promote plaque buildup, narrowing the arteries and increasing the chance of clots, paving the way for stroke. A study in the American Journal of Clinical Nutrition found that people who regularly ate fried fish had a 37% greater risk of stroke than those who rarely ate it. That's a serious statistic, especially for a food that might appear on your plate regularly, and the concern doesn't stop at fats. The breading used in fried fish often includes refined flours and additives that boost inflammation. Combine that with reused frying oil common in many restaurants, and you've got a harmful combo attacking your health. Looking for a better way? If you like mackerel, try grilling it with olive oil and fresh herbs. It'll still be rich and satisfying. Want that crispy texture? Use an air fryer. You'll get the crunch without the heart damage. Now, let's look at another fish that might surprise you. Not because of how it's cooked, but because of what's inside. We're talking about swordfish. It's thick, meaty, and often served in upscale restaurants. A popular choice when you want something more refined. But swordfish carries a hidden risk. It's extremely high in mercury. Mercury is a heavy metal that, in small amounts, the body can handle. But swordfish is one of the worst offenders in mercury content. Both the FDA and EPA recommend that older adults limit or avoid it entirely. Here's why that matters. Mercury builds up in your system over time. It doesn't just leave after one meal. So if you eat swordfish regularly, the risk quietly increases with every serving. Mercury can harm your nervous system and blood vessels. It increases oxidative stress. And for older adults whose arteries are already more delicate, that's dangerous. It raises the risk of stroke and even cognitive decline. A study from the Journal of Environmental Health found that higher mercury levels in seniors were linked to worse vascular function and a higher chance of stroke. Most people don't even realize the connection. They think swordfish is a lean, protein-rich choice, but it can do more harm than good. So what's a smarter alternative? Choose low-mercury options like wild-caught salmon or rainbow trout. You'll still get that firm texture and deep flavor without the toxic risk. Lastly, let's talk about fried cod, often found in classic fish and chips meals, wrapped in paper and served with fries. It's crunchy and satisfying, but potentially dangerous, especially for older adults. The issue isn't the cod itself. When steamed or baked, cod is lean and nutritious. But deep frying changes everything. The real danger is the oil. Restaurants often reuse oil repeatedly, which causes it to break down and form harmful substances called free radicals. These compounds damage blood vessel walls, trigger inflammation, and accelerate plaque buildup. Over time, this narrows arteries and increases stroke risk. One study from the British Medical Journal found that people who ate fried fish more than once a week had significantly more arterial plaque than those who didn't. Add to that the heavy breading, which absorbs oil like a sponge, and it's no longer just a meal. It's a threat to your cardiovascular health. Think about the last time you ate fish and chips. Crispy on the outside, tender on the inside, maybe paired with fries and a dollop of tartar sauce. That's a heavy mix of salt and fat that can overload your system, especially if you're already dealing with high blood pressure or cholesterol. Here's a better option. If you're craving cod, try baking it at home with a touch of olive oil, garlic, or a sprinkle of paprika. You'll still get plenty of flavor and maybe even a little crunch without putting your heart at risk. Now, let's talk about that tiny, salty fish that shows up in pizza toppings or Caesar salads. It's sneakier than it seems. Anchovies. Small, salty, and often hidden in everyday dishes from pizzas to salad dressings and savory sauces. They may look harmless because of their size, but don't be fooled. Just 5 anchovy fillets can deliver more than 700 milligrams of sodium. That's close to half the daily limit for most older adults, and the real issue? How easily they go unnoticed. Anchovies are often mashed into dressings, blended into sauces, or tucked into gourmet dishes where you'd never expect them. This matters because sodium plays a big role in increasing blood pressure. The more sodium you eat, the more fluid your body retains, raising blood volume and pressure inside your arteries. That pressure strains vessel walls and boosts the risk of clots or ruptures, which can lead to stroke. One clinical study published in Stroke Journal found that cutting sodium intake by just 1,000 milligrams a day could reduce stroke risk by up to 20% in older adults. That's a huge difference, all from cutting out a few hidden sources of salt. If you love that savory anchovy flavor, try limiting how often you eat them. Or swap them for alternatives like chopped olives or sun-dried tomatoes for that umami punch. And when eating out, don't hesitate to ask what's in the sauce. A simple question could protect your health down the road. Up next, we have a fish. That sounds upscale and elegant, but hides a serious risk beneath its soft texture. We're talking about Chilean sea bass. It's rich, flaky, and a frequent guest on fine dining menus, but here's the concern. Certain varieties of sea bass, especially the Chilean kind, are known to carry dangerously high mercury levels. And that's made worse by the perception that sea bass is a premium and healthy choice. Behind that polished image is a toxin that can quietly harm your vascular system. A long-term study in environmental research showed that consistent consumption of high-mercury fish like sea bass was linked to measurable declines in blood vessel function among older adults. You won't feel the effects immediately, but over time, mercury can fuel inflammation, oxidative stress, and hardening of the arteries. That raises the risk of clots, vessel damage, and stroke. If you enjoy sea bass, it's best to keep it as an occasional treat. Once every few months is likely fine, but eating it weekly or even twice a month can be risky, and keep in mind, not all sea bass is the same. Ask where it comes from. Or, better yet, go for safer options like sardines or flounder, both low in mercury and still delicious. Now let's take a look at a fish that may be the most common culprit of all, especially if you love a crispy bite. Atlantic cod. It's about as common as it gets, especially in that iconic dish, fish and chips. The cod itself isn't the problem. It's lean, protein-rich, and low in fat. But just like we saw earlier with fried cod, the danger is in how it's prepared. Atlantic cod is one of the most popular choices for deep frying. It's battered, dunked in hot oil, and served golden with fries. That's when it stops being healthy and turns into a meal full of trans fats, oxidized oils, and refined carbs, all of which are harmful to your cardiovascular health and theirs. Another catch, because this dish is so widespread, it's easy to eat it more often than you think. Maybe once a week turns into twice. Maybe it's your go-to Friday night dinner. Each time your arteries take another hit, a 2019 study published in Circulation found that adults who frequently ate fried fish had much higher levels of C-reactive protein, a marker of inflammation linked to heart disease and stroke. This kind of inflammation isn't something you can feel. It builds slowly, silently, and it's especially dangerous for people over 60, whose arteries may already be more fragile. So here's the fix. If you love Atlantic cod, don't give it up. Just change how you cook it. Bake it with lemon and rosemary or steam it with garlic and olive oil. You'll still get the great taste without the cardiovascular damage, and your heart and brain will thank you. Now let's wrap up with one last fish. It's crispy, golden, and has a familiar name, but there's a hidden twist. Haddock. It's a close cousin of cod and just as popular in fish and chips. If you've ever ordered that dish at a pub or a diner, chances are it was haddock, not cod. It fries up beautifully with a tender center and crispy edges, but like we've seen before, the issue isn't the fish, it's the frying. Haddock is often dipped in thick batter and cooked in oil that's been reused again and again, and that oil doesn't just lose flavor, it becomes chemically unstable. It forms harmful compounds like aldehydes and trans fats. These toxic substances circulate through your bloodstream, damaging vessel walls and encouraging plaque formation. And here's the problem, because haddock is so widely used in fried dishes, many people don't even realize how often they're eating it. It might be a favorite from the local fish fry or something you grab frozen from the supermarket, but the more often it shows up, the higher your risk climbs. A 2020 study in the Journal of the American Heart Association found that frequent consumption of fried foods was strongly linked to a greater risk of stroke, especially in adults over 65. The more fried fish they ate, the worse it got. It's a slow, steady build-up, but the consequences are real. So how can you still enjoy haddock without the health hazards? Easy. Bake it with a light panko crust for that crunch, or poach it in a flavorful broth. You get the same comforting meal without the artery damage. And now that we've uncovered the hidden dangers lurking in those innocent-looking fish dishes, let's wrap things up with something to remember. Sometimes it's not the fish itself, but how it's cooked and served that makes all the difference. A few smart tweaks in your kitchen can protect your heart, lower your stroke risk, and help you stay strong for the moments that matter most. It's never too late to make smarter choices. You deserve meals that support your health, not put it in danger. If this video helped you look at your plate in a new way, leave a like, drop a comment, or share it with someone you care about. And don't forget to subscribe to Health Hub, where your well-being is our daily focus. We are always bringing you quality content, packed with information and, above all, based on science, so that you can always take care of your health and well-being. Stay safe, stay informed, and I'll see you in the next one.